I'm delighted there on the right of the frame to be joined by another good chum. That's Arnie Saunders, who's the Deputy Chairman of the Salford Conservative Association. Great to see you, Arnie. The questions have all gone whirling around in the wrong direction. But here I've got it in the right place. You said, I was undecided, although I've been contacted by Rishi's team. I've decided to support Liz. So, cock-a-hoop, books off the shelf, champagne out, I presume.
Absolutely. I haven't wavered in my support for Liz. I've attended several meetings, not just hustings. The press and the media obviously concentrate on the hustings that have been sort of in the public domain. But as you know yourself, Alistair, there's been meetings which have been perhaps not so open to the public. There's been meetings with supporters. There's been individual hustings. For example, the friends of various countries. So, for example, the Friends of India, the Friends of Israel had their own hustings, if you like, with the candidates, which didn't make the public domain. I mean, it did afterwards. They got reported. And many, many local events took place. And I actually attended quite a few. And, yes, I've stuck with Liz all the way. And I obviously am delighted because I've got no doubt whatsoever, as indeed Angelo said, Rishi will be sunk and Liz will be entrusted with the premiership.
You're a master of words as well. Do you think we're past that period of Liz? I mean, none of the newspapers are suggesting that Rishi Sunak will get a job other than possibly in Silicon Valley, but certainly not in a Liz Truss government. Do you think that Liz should rise above that and try and build a bridge?
Actually, I do. It's interesting because halfway through the campaign, Rishi was quoted as saying he would not serve in a Liz cabinet. I was at the hustings in Birmingham because I couldn't make my local one in Manchester. So I went down to Birmingham and he was actually asked this by the interviewer. I won't mention his name. It's from a rival channel, that particular hustings. And he was asked point blank, would you serve in a Liz you've said that you wouldn't serve, and he reined back from it. He said that was taken out of context. So actually, he's given himself some wiggle room, and I think that Liz should take the initiative. I'm not saying she should make him Chancellor, but I think, for example, he could replace her as Foreign Secretary, although I would think Tom Tugendhat would be brilliant in that job.
Interesting, Arnie. Can I also ask you the same question that I put to other friends like Leighton and Don and Paul, and that is your interpretation of what she said on the Laura Kuenssberg interview about she will go ahead with tax cuts, even if that means that wealthier people, better off people, will get the lion's share of it. Don't care. That's what's going to happen. Social media, particularly friends in the Labour Party and friends in the Conservative Party, are tearing her apart over it. Does it matter to you?
Let me say that the idea of giving tax cuts, as you put it, supposedly for the rich, is that the rich will then spend the money and therefore that will refloat the economy and indeed the businesses. Let's not forget the businesses that will benefit from the tax cuts and indeed the national insurance cuts, as we've just been hearing. So I think it is a gamble, it is a risk, but I think given all the circumstances, I know we've got to help people with their energy bills and the cost of living. I support that, and Liz, has said she'll do that one way or another. But I think, quite frankly, given the circumstances, it should go hand in hand with rebooting the economy, and that can only be done with tax cuts and with cuts to the national insurance. So, yes, I'm happy to go along with that.
Great to talk to you, Arnie, and I still love your library. I think it's a beautiful collection of fine books. You take care. Best wishes to you and keep in touch. And also, Angelo, thank you very much indeed for finding time to deliver exactly what I and the Heat team hoped for. And that was honest, no prevarication, the voice of the Conservative Party in the country.